Oh my gosh, we are underway, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing? Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Paranormal Portal. As I still try to throw this all together behind the scenes. No, I just had to get something all connected here. Hold on. Okay, now we should be underway here. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal, ladies and gentlemen. This is our Wednesday night show. As always, we have 2 full hours of the Paranormal Portal just sitting here on deck for you. And should be a great show. I got a lot of fun things to go through tonight. A lot of great material. But hope you guys are doing good. Happy hump day. Happy hump day, everybody. You made it. You're part of the way, half the way through the week. So should be getting better and better. Great to see all you guys piling into the chat. Great to see every one of you. The Mean Green Meme Machine. That's kind of new. I don't recognize that name, but welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy it while you're here. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all of you that come in over and over night after night. And for all of you that continue to spread the word about the Paranormal Portal to groups and people that are in your lives that you think might enjoy it. It really means the world. Hi, a tiniest squish. Got a big Paranormal Portal brand. Hi. Just exuberant. But I'm not here alone, folks. I've got help in the wings, and no, Don couldn't make it tonight. He's got some things going on. He couldn't make it work. So right on the 1 yard line with seconds left of the fourth quarter, I made a Hail Mary pass call to my very own firstborn son, Mr. Sheldon Thomas, who said, "Hell yeah, I'll come on." That wasn't his exact words, but he's like, "Well, yeah." But here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sheldon Thomas joining me on the wings. Thanks for making it work, buddy. Oh, right? Yeah. No. You're muted, by the way.
Sad. I'm so sad. Dang it! Your responses were, I was like, what's going on? Oh, every time. You know what? As the chat says, Don's fault. You know what? That's how it is. I'm so glad you're having fun.
I knew I was going to do that sometime. It worked.
It got me.
I'm just going.
Yeah, I can just leave. That's fine.
No, I'm glad you're here. I just didn't know how long it would take you, and you still didn't catch it until I said you're muted.
This isn't going to be the first time this happens, no, ladies and gentlemen. This will not be the first time. I mean, it won't be the last.
No, it won't be the last, for sure. Sorry. I knew I was going to try to pull that off one of these times when you left yourself muted and you really didn't catch on at all.
No, not. I thought I was unmuted the whole time.
I love you, my boy. That's awesome. Oh, I don't laugh like this very often.
No, you don't. This is a rare occurrence.
No, it really is.
Bear with us, guys. Bear with us.
Oh, man. Oh, I love it. That was so good. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
My face is red.
It's okay. I thought it was just your camera. Oh, man. All right, I'm back in it. Yeah, I don't laugh. I maybe laugh like that once every couple of years, but it just takes something really extraordinary.
And the day was today. The day was today.
You brought it to the table, my boy. You did great. Oh, that was so good. But thanks for making this work, because it's always a lot more fun to have someone here to talk to rather than just talking to myself. But that was good. That was so funny. Wow.
I'm inclined to let you talk to yourself.
Rachel says 40 minutes later. I know, but it's one of those laughs happen. I gotta ride them out. They just don't happen very often. There you go. Okay, so yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff in the hopper ready for you guys. So I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy the show, have a good time with it. But of course, I guess all I can tell you is I hope you're ready, because it's time to get spooky. All right, folks, we are at it now. We are fully underway here on the Paranormal Portal. And remember that if you want to call in and be a part of the show, you want to call in with an experience of your own of something paranormal that you've been through, then by all means, please feel free to call in. The number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And that's how you can get a hold of us. We'll keep an eye on the phone queue just in case you do. But the numbers are up there above my head, floating around. Sheldon was actually just looking at them, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Looking right at him.
I got you. Yep, we're good. So, how about we start with some news, Sheldon? You ready?
Oh, my favorite part, yeah.
Really? News is your favorite?
One of my favorites.
Okay, well, good. All right, let's do the news. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal newscast. I'm your anchor, Brent Thomas, and my co-anchor in the big picture on the screen is Mr. Sheldon Thomas. And we are going to bring you the Paranormal Portal news as best as we can. We got a bunch of articles pulled up on the page over here. I'm going to start reading to you. And now, the first one isn't really paranormal as much as it is scientifically interesting. And thank God it's not really one of those long ones. Nope, it's not. I did check them earlier, I thought, but I was going to look again. But this is from unexplained-mysteries.com, and they're talking about a 16 million year old tardigrade found in amber. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with these, but they're these weird microbes that can like survive in the vacuum of space. They can ride like comets across the cosmos and stuff. And they found one preserved in amber, of all things, which is basically a mineralized or solidified tree sap from the prehistoric times. So it says the microscopic specimen was found trapped inside a lump of amber dating back to the Miocene epoch. It's often said that if a major apocalyptic disaster was to befall the Earth, the only thing left would be cockroaches. In reality, however, there's another far more resilient creature on our planet that would still be around long after the cockroaches had disappeared. The tardigrade, or water bear, is one of the toughest life forms in existence. These microscopic invertebrates have been around for about 520 million years and have lived through countless mass extinction events, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Now, a previously undiscovered species of tardigrade, one dating back 16 million years, has been found preserved within a lump of amber that was unearthed in the Dominican Republic. Named that huge name, I'm not even going to try to beat the hell out of that. It is only the third tardigrade preserved in amber ever to be fully discovered and named. The reason for this scarcity is down to their tiny size and the fact that their bodies don't break down and produce the types of minerals that are preserved for long periods. The discovery of the fossil tardigrade is truly once-in-a-generation event, said Phil Barden, a biologist at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. What is so remarkable is that the tardigrades are a ubiquitous ancient lineage that has seen it all on Earth, from the fall of the dinosaurs to the rise of terrestrial colonization of plants. Yet they are like a ghost lineage of for paleontologists with almost no fossil record. Finding any tardigrade fossil remains an exciting moment where we can empirically see their progression through Earth's history. And there it is. That's what it looks like in amber, is that. How did somebody figure out that that was something and not just a weird little, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to be actively looking because I think these things are literally microscopic, right? Yeah, it's a microscopic tardigrade.
Yeah. I would imagine you have to be careful, too, that there aren't any, like, I don't know, some super prehistoric virus or bacteria in there, too, that relation to this day and age.
Yeah, no kidding. Wouldn't that be it? Hey,
yeah,
you just unleashed a plague. That's all right. We're doing our own as well, so somebody's going to do it, I guess. But that's a tardigrade, folks, and they found one in amber. So if you got amber, you might want to look through it carefully because you might have some weird specimen locked into it as well. There's lots of things that got stuck in the saps back then and ended up becoming part of jewelry and stuff. So
yeah, true.
Very interesting. Very interesting. That's the first one. Hey, don't do that. If I got to be careful when I'm mousing over these pages because they have active ads that just pop off if your mouse even hits the thing. So the next one up on the roster tonight is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Man sues psychic over ex-girlfriend's curse. Yep, you think you've heard it all, folks, but yeah, I guess you. What do we have? You had the other week somebody was suing. Oh, he was suing Loch Ness. Some tourist was suing Loch Ness because he went up there and didn't see Nessie, so he's trying to sue them. So now we got a guy suing a psychic because apparently the curse didn't get broken. Says a man in the U.S. is suing a psychic who he claims had failed to remove a curse put on his marriage by a witch. The bizarre lawsuit has been filed by Mauro Restrepo from California, who was told that his former girlfriend had asked a witch to place a bad luck curse on his marriage. His psychic, self-proclaimed love specialist, Sophia Adams, had told him about the alleged curse during a tarot reading session and emphasized that it would ruin him if it was not removed. She then offered to exorcise the spell for the princely sum of $5,100. Wonder how you justify the value there. I don't know. I guess it's cheaper than a divorce.
True.
In the fraud lawsuit, which was filed in the Torrance Superior Court, Restrepo is seeking $2,500 in damages, having paid an initial deposit of $1,000 to have the curse lifted. The psychic's intervention did not in any way help his marriage, he argues. Wow. You can blame your psychic for your own problems. Jeez. In addition to the damages, his charges against her include negligence, civil conspiracy, and both intentional and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Given the peculiar nature of the case, it's hard to know exactly how things will turn out. However, it seems likely that Restrepo will at least be able to recoup the money he spent. As for the curse, it's doubtful that anyone will be able to actually prove its existence in court. Then again, proving that it doesn't exist is likely to be just as difficult. So she can say, I removed it. I know I did. Services rendered. He can say, no, you didn't because I'm divorced. And how do you prove either side?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really. I mean, this guy could be a dick, and nobody can remove that. It's like he's just not a good person in a relationship. So you can't just wish that away. But anyway, I don't know. It's a very curious.
At least the story isn't as weird as the woman who married a lamp.
Yeah, that's true. That still tops the weird scale for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, folks. You never run out of weirdness. There's all kinds of strange people. Let's get to the next one here. This one is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Is it possible to hear the Northern Lights? Now, I'm a big fan of Northern Lights. I love the Aurora Borealis, and I've seen some incredible displays of those lights. And it's hard to watch that and not think, there's something mystical about it. And I know there's repeatable demonstrations of solar radiation hitting the ionosphere or whatever and creating these waves of light. But, all I can tell you is that some of the times that I've experienced them have just been, they were like a symbol or a sign at the time. And it wasn't just, oh, there's solar radiation hitting the ionosphere. Okay, cool. It was like a message. A couple times that I saw them when I was really in a place that I needed to see something, and then all of a sudden, boom, it happened, and it was like, wow. And it was just a totally dark night, nothing spectacular, but it was like I needed to see it, and then that happened. So could they be mystical? I don't know. Again, it's up to you to believe whatever you want, but to me, I think the Northern Lights are something really spectacular in more ways than one. I think that they are a truly energetic event that does have implications and can affect, the life that we live. I don't know how. I'm just telling you. But anyway, this is asking the question: is it possible to hear them? For years, there have been reports of eerie, mysterious sounds being produced by the aurora borealis. The spectacular light show, which can often be seen flickering across the skies of northern hemisphere, has fascinated mankind since the dawn of time. It still does, as far as I'm concerned. Its colorful swirls and patterns are produced when charged particles from the sun accelerate along the field lines of Earth's magnetic field and interact with the gas atoms in its atmosphere. But while the appearance of this phenomenon is well documented, there are some who claim that the aurora borealis can also produce strange, otherworldly sounds on rare occasions. Reports from the early 20th century describe these sounds as an almost imperceptible crackling, whooshing, and whizzing that occurs during particularly intense displays. Inhabitants of Scotland's Shetland Islands have also described them as being similar to rustling silk. While such accounts were often dismissed, in more recent years the phenomena has come to be accepted as the real deal, with researchers having heard and even recorded examples on occasion. The assistant of leading auroral scientist Carl Stormer, for instance, reported that the sound is being like a very curious faint whistling sound, distinctly undulatory, which seemed to follow exactly the vibrations of the aurora. While many scientists have attempted to find an explanation for the sounds, to date the specific cause of the phenomena continues to remain something of a mystery. And I know that in some Inuit cultures, they regard the aurora borealis as not only just this incredible displays, but people go missing sometimes during the aurora borealis, and there's legends of people being taken into them and drawn away from the world. So I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe something else is opening up in the aurora borealis, but I really love seeing them. What about you, Sheldon?
Maybe well, I mean, I was just going to say, like, maybe that's when that effect has an effect on the veil. Maybe the veil's thinner.
Very true.
There isn't a roll.
Right. And Tesla said everything is frequency, energy, frequency, and vibration. Yeah. So there's got to be something to it. Those of you that are Trekkies, you'll be happy to hear this next story. It's one that we mentioned before that there might be a possibility, but apparently it's been confirmed that Shatner space trip confirmed for October 12th. That's right. Oh, yeah. Captain Kirk is going to be going to space, folks, for the real deal. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of a neat thing. But Shatner space trip confirmed for October 12th. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner, has confirmed that he will be venturing to the edge of space next week. The legendary Star Trek actor, whose on-screen character is certainly no stranger to the final frontier, will be venturing into the heavens aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard spacecraft on October 12th. While initial rumors of the trip had begun to surface last week, both Blue Origin and Shatner himself have now officially confirmed that the trip will be going ahead. If everything goes to plan, Shatner 90 will be the oldest person ever to fly into space. I've heard about space for a long time now, and I'm taking the opportunity to see it for myself, he said. What a miracle. What do you mean you've heard about it? He says, I've heard about space for a long time now. Yeah, Your career was based on it. That's a weird statement, but at any rate, well, whatever. The October 12th flights, the second by Blue Origin to carry passengers, will see Shatner, along with 3 others, a former NASA engineer, a chemical research entrepreneur, and a Blue Origin executive, lift off from Texas and achieve an altitude of over 100 kilometers. Like the previous flight, which carried Jeff Bezos himself, the trip will last only around 10 minutes. Rumors of Shatner venturing into space have been around for years. Back in 2011, he reportedly turned down the chance to fly aboard Virgin Galactic because he'd have to pay for it himself. I'll bet you that wouldn't have been cheap. Richard Branson wanted me to go up and pay for it, and I said, hey, you pay me and I'll go up. I'll risk my life for a large sum of money, but he didn't pick me up on the offer, he said at the time. Yeah, Branson, what's up with that? Well, there you go. At 90. He will be up in space, ladies and gentlemen. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Mark Hamill should be next.
Luke. Yeah.
That's right.
That would be awesome. Luke Skywalker goes to space. Well, that would be cool. All right, what do we got next? Well, we got some updates, some news, apparently, from the Foo Fighters' own Dave Grohl. And he's apparently a UFO nerd. I didn't know this. Unexplained-mysteries.com, Foo Fighters' Dave Grohl. I'm a total UFO nerd. The Foo Fighters frontman and former Nirvana drummer is known to have a keen interest in UFOs. The American singer, musician, and songwriter whose career is in the industry has spanned over 3 decades, recently described his entire life as an out-of-body experience. Speaking during a promotion for his upcoming memoir, he took the time to answer a few questions, including one about the subject that has long been dear to his heart, UFOs. Foo Fighters are named after a military term for UFOs. What did you think of the supposed UFO images that the U.S. government released this summer? The interviewer asked him. Oh, I'm a total UFO nerd, and I have been for decades, he replied. So I've been following, but what's happening now? I don't think it's new. I'm of the belief that we are not alone, and I'm totally okay with that. You know, it doesn't really change my day too much. When I look up at the stars, I think, God, I hope we're not alone. What a drag that would be. Back in 2015, he also spoke to Billboard magazine about the topic. In another life, I hope that I was an astrophysicist, he said at the time. I spend most of my time online in the science section of Google News, and it's what I do all day long. I'm a UFO fanatic. A video clip of him talking about UFOs and government cover-ups back in 1995 can be viewed below. There you go. Let's just copy that.
Right there.
That's proof right there. Copy. I'll put that in the chat so that if anybody wants to check that out later, they certainly can. Dave Grohl is a UFO nerd. There it is. It's in there. That's kind of cool, though. I think Dave Grohl's a good guy. You know, everything I've ever seen about him, he really seems like an incredible guy. Like he's really that guy.
Sounds like it from what he was saying in the interview.
Yeah, it does. All right, here we go. We got another one here. This one's kind of hilarious. From unexplained-mysteries.com, missing man joins search party for himself.
The
drunk man had fallen asleep in the middle of the woods. A man who had been reported missing after a night of drinking inadvertently joined the search for himself. While it's not that unusual to have less than a complete recollection, of a particular boozy night out, well, few could get themselves so inebriated that their significant other is forced to organize a search party. That's exactly what happened, however, when 51-year-old Bayan Mitlu from the town of Inegol in northwest Turkey had a little bit too much to drink last week when out boozing with one of his friends. He awoke the following morning to find that he had fallen asleep in a house in the middle of the woods. Confused, he wandered outside to figure out exactly where he was. Before long, he ran into some people who were wandering through the trees, and it turned out that they were members of a search party who were out looking for someone who had gone missing. Keen to help, he decided to go with them in an attempt to track down the missing person. That's hilarious. It wasn't long, however, before he realized, to his horror, that the person they were looking for was him. After a while, they said they were looking for Bayan Mutlu, he said. I broke into a cold sweat when I heard my name. I told them I was Balin Mutlu, but they continued to search. They didn't believe me. Here you are. You're Balin, of course. It wasn't until he was spotted by someone he knew that the truth of the situation was revealed. It turned out that his wife had organized the search party after he failed to return home the night before. No doubt she would have a few choice words for him once he finally stepped through the door. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, that would be the perfect hiding spot, though.
Yeah, just join your own search party. Just wait for him to come along and then join him. Hey, come on out.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. But this will be the conclusion of our news for the evening. So let's get back to the regularly scheduled program. All right, folks, we are back at it. Thanks for tuning into the news. Hope you enjoyed the newscast. I think those are fun. It's one of my favorites too, Sheldon, just so you know. It's not just
yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun to do different segments and pieces and parts because, brings more life to the broadcast, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, so let's see what I got on deck here. There's a couple things. This one is almost from the news. It could have been in the news, but I decided to wait and we'd look at this afterwards, and we're doing that now. And this is an item from the Sasquatch Chronicles blog. Thanks, Wes, for letting me use stuff from there. But this is a video. A lightning strike temporarily paralyzes East Texas man. Strange news from a couple of years ago. Look how close his kids were. CBS Texas reports lightning strike temporarily paralyzes East Texas man, and he was unloading groceries when lightning struck the family SUV. So let's check this out. Excuse me.
Texas father unloading groceries from the car. This is their home in Bronson over the weekend when it was struck by a lightning bolt. That bolt, as you see here, knocks him out cold. Here comes the wife jumping out of the SUV, dragged him inside as best she could to call 911. He could not move. He says he couldn't feel his legs for about an hour after all of this happened, but we share this with you because A, he has fully recovered, and B, it can show you that even this guy was underneath an awning at a house.
I have goosebumps.
And it still happened.
My
right?
gosh, and you saw both those little babies, obviously extremely worried. Wow, thank goodness he's okay.
Wow, how's that, Sheldon? Sheldon, are you muted again? Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
What? No.
Okay.
I was listening to the video.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right, because you got the delay as well. Pretty crazy, though, huh? That you could see it hit the SUV, and then it must have jumped from that back hatch into his head and went down to ground,
Yeah, it definitely could have. I mean, I know when lightning strikes, it does spread out, like into the ground as well, so it can come in contact that way too.
Right. Yeah, actually, I remember many of you guys, well, I don't know about many. You guys I think are in the same generation as I am for the most part. Maybe some of you aren't, but back when everybody had house phones, it was always recommended don't use your home phone if there's a thunderstorm, because apparently there was a few cases of people being on the phone during a thunderstorm, and the lightning must have struck close enough that it followed the line in and killed people, like, through the phone. So, but yeah, I mean, lightning does some weird stuff. It really does. I mean, it's already a pretty powerful thing, but could you imagine taking a whole lightning bolt in your head?
God.
No wonder. He's lucky that's all he got was an hour. I mean, I would have thought, dude, that might have been it,
I could have easily fried his nerves if the concentration was enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I was like, wow, that's pretty intense. And, there's more of that kind of fun here on the portal. Let's just get to the next one. Here's one. This is one that I wanted to cover, and actually, I don't remember. And Sheldon, maybe you'll be able to remember. This might have been the Fourth Color, longtime friend of the show and our Discord. Many times on the show, I've thought about this out loud because we oftentimes talk about abandoned asylums, and I thought, how many people might have sat in there that were actually just sensitive? They were some form of psychic, but in a world that doesn't acknowledge that and doesn't recognize that as a valid phenomena, how many people have sat in those asylums just because they were hearing voices or they were hearing that? But it wasn't just voices. It wasn't just some kind of brain misfire. It was because they were hearing the other world, the other, spiritual voices or something of that nature. And but one of our Discords people from the show, and I don't remember. So if you remember, Sheldon, let me know. I pulled it up because I was like, wow, that's really cool. This is an article from there, and this is coming from the Washington Post, and it says how a West African shaman helped my schizophrenic son in a way Western medicine couldn't. Schizophrenics, some believe, are simply a modern manifestation of prehistoric tribal shamans. So that's an interesting take. It says, let me blow this up a little bit because it's pretty dinky. All right, here we go. It says, after a wonderful summer fishing and learning to surf, my son, then a 17-year-old junior at Boston High School, suddenly told me one afternoon, I don't know what's happening. I can't find my old self again. Soon after Franklin had to be hospitalized, the evaluation described an increase in psychotic symptoms, including paranoid thoughts, command hallucinations, telling him to hurt himself, and these things were associated with the onset of schizophrenia. In the autumn of 1996, for many years afterwards, my son was on and off medication and in and out of hospitals. The drugs reduced his hallucinations and illogical or paranoid thoughts, but their side effects caused him to gain almost 100 pounds and to be diagnosed with adult-onset diabetes. Only as Frank entered his early 30s did our shared desperation take us beyond medical treatment onto a path we could never have anticipated. A profound ignorance still exists as to the molecular mechanisms behind schizophrenia. Despite theories ranging from genetic inheritance to environmental exposure, scientists cannot specify why 2.2 million Americans suffer from the mental illness. Some have suggested that there is more to this puzzle than Western medicine realizes. In 2012, Canadian evolutionary psychiatrist Joseph Palomini published a book called Shamans Among Us, postulating that schizophrenics are a modern manifestation of prehistoric tribal shamans. The South African healer Colin Campbell has been quoted as saying people hearing voices, for instance, or feeling certain things are in touch with other realities, especially the whole mythic realm that Western society does not have a time or place for. This spoke to me because amid what appeared to be delusional ramblings, Frank had an uncanny ability to tune into what I was thinking. On the advice of a psychologist friend, I'd stopped trying to correct his often bizarre ideas. This had led us to a much less antagonistic and more trusting relationship. Still, I had little hope that Frank would ever lead anything close to a normal life. Then early in 2012, I took a chance. Our family pediatrician, who had grown up in East Africa in the 1940s, invited Frank and me along to come along on one of his annual trips to witness the wildlife migration across the Serengeti Plain. Frank is biracial, and this seemed a unique opportunity for him to see the continent his mother's ancestors came from, and for us to forge a stronger father-son bond. Our trip was not without its difficulties. One night, Frank temporarily disappeared at a campground deep in the bush, but ultimately the journey proved a breakthrough not only between us, but also for my son's self-confidence, which had been slowly but surely shattered over the years of struggling with illness. Part of the trip's impact was surely that we were spending days and nights amidst the wonder of East African wildlife and landscape. It had also helped that our guide, a Maasai, the same age as Frank, related to him without any sense of his being different. 9 months after our return to the U.S., I sought out Malidoma Somi, a renowned West African shaman. In the culture of his Dagara people, schizophrenics are not viewed pathologically, but often as mediums, bringing messages to the community from the spirit world. As an Anglo-American male in my mid-60s, I never expected to be conducting spiritual water rituals at the ocean and invoking the assistance of my ancestors on my son's behalf. But that's just what I did before taking Frank to see Malidoma in Jamaica. For a divination about his future using cowrie shells, beads, stones, and other objects. Frank also made drawings for the shaman during their hour together, which Malidoma described as like being with a colleague. Since our trip to Jamaica, Frank has continued to speak with the shaman over the phone and create symbolic paintings. At Malidoma's impetus, Frank and I traveled to the Native American sacred lands of New Mexico, and over the past few years, Frank's mother and I have kept seeking connection with our ancestors through meditative rituals, which has made a difference in our own lives as well. These experiences, rather than taking Frank further out there, have had a grounding effect. He's not cured, he still takes medication and resides in a group home, but the weight gain and diabetes have disappeared. Only a short time ago, he rarely emerged from his room. Today, Frank's life is filled with activity and enthusiasm. Now 36, he's gone back to technical school to resume a course in mechanical engineering and has taken classes in gymnastics, boxing, skating, as well as ongoing music and art therapy. Has traveled to Maine for 2 weeks on his own to learn to build wooden boats and has been working out regularly at the gym. He still writes pages of glyph-like characters with no readily apparent meaning, at least to those of us in this realm. He still speaks of a vast imaginative terrain that's covered and continues to traverse, and he's still possessed of a remarkable ability to tune into the thought patterns of other people, including me. In a time where more stereotypes and stigma are attached to mental illness than ever, and when the pharmaceutical industry dominates the attitude of Western medicine, more attention should be paid to several studies by the World Health Organization comparing schizophrenia outcomes in the U.S. and Europe with poorer nations like Nigeria and India, where only 16% of patients regularly take antipsychotic medications. Excuse me. In one study, nearly 2/3 of the patients diagnosed with schizophrenia in developing countries had good outcomes after 2 years, compared to only 37% in wealthier nations where drugs are the standard of care. It may be too late for Frank to ever leave medication behind him, but I'm deeply grateful for the progress that discovering alternatives has brought. I'm happy, too, that Frank knows not only that I'm proud of him, but also that I hold deep respect for all that he's been through and who he is. In his journal, Frank writes, "What is behind a situation is a mystery. We are left searching for reasons that things are the way they are. Clarity and cloudy times come and leave. Points are made and life proceeds." So that's pretty cool. I think there's merit to that, because when you consider what a schizophrenic person is experiencing, it's real to them. It's not imaginings. It's not hallucinations. They are seeing something that to them is very, very real. They are hearing things that are very, very real. And is there a point that they could be literally touching another plane of existence? I think that's very powerful.
That can even tell us also that these energies of the world, or spirits, or whatever it is that he's connecting with, has a physical effect. And I mean, I know we've seen that, but it should be proof in itself that to doctors and whoever else specializes in schizophrenia, maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's something else to it, that these people aren't just crazy, or at least some of them, or who knows, maybe all of them. I mean, we don't know.
Right. Well, I just know that there used to be this show on TV, and it was hosted by a man named Chip Coffey. And any of you that are into the paranormal shows, especially Paranormal State and Kindred Spirits with Amy Bruni and Adam, whatever his last name is, they have Chip Coffey come in, and he's a psychic, and what his show was helping out psychic kids. And again, it's another produced show, so you never know what to really take from it and what not to. But I love the idea that there were some sensitives and psychics like that were extending themselves to help these children understand their gifts. And very cool of the parents to acknowledge that might be a possibility. Because I can imagine it would be such a lonely feeling to be a child alone with this reality of hearing, seeing, and experiencing things nobody else can. So I don't know whatever happened to that show. I think it just wasn't picked up for more seasons or whatever, but it was a really cool show because, I mean, at least just by the merit of people being willing to look at that possibility, I thought was really powerful.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, me too. Because there's a lot more to this world. That's what this show is all about, is that there's a lot more to this world. And so, I'm not trying to make believers out of any of you out there. If you believe it or don't, it's fine. But I think that there's certainly more that's going on here than just our 3 dimensions and our Monday through Fridays and weekends. I think all of us can readily agree with that. But just some thoughts.
I think so.
Yeah.
Rachel says, so many corridors of an individual human mind / brain, universes upon universes.
Right.
And that's the thing, too, is that, I mean, we don't even know. That's the one thing we know the least about in our bodies is our brains. We don't know what extent us connecting to these other, how should I say, dimensions, realities, planes. Mm-hmm. We don't know to the extent that we connect to those, even scientifically.
Right. Yep. There's a lot to understand. There's a lot to figure out, but still very, very cool. And I was really encouraged by that. So again, do you remember who shared that?
No, I don't.
I don't either. And I'm sorry. I should have written it down. But thank you to those of you that do that share things on our Discord. All of the things that you guys have been posting, I do check out eventually. And I love it. I love that you guys are bringing so much to the table in the Discord. And if you're not familiar with the Paranormal Portal Discord, please get involved, get familiar with it, because we'd love to keep seeing that grow. But there's some really cool things that are shared there, and that certainly was one of them. Again, I apologize for not remembering who shared it, but I just really appreciate that you shared it. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff. Let's see.
Nicole says, there's definitely other energies and unseen beings out there. I saw them and communicated with some as a young child. My parents were mortified as I wasn't normal like them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something else to consider, too, is that, like, maybe some people have experienced these things, but they play it off. They just ignore it. And
sure.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that dampens your connection over time because you're ignoring it.
Well,
and you're just
think of the modern paradigm, and I think it's getting better. But for the most part, if you tell anybody you're hearing voices, you're looking at a rough road, full of pharmacology and lots of therapy, and it might just be hearing voices. And maybe they are literally voices out there that most people can't experience. But yeah, I just think that's awesome, and I'm glad that at least some people are considering alternatives and finding answers. I don't know. I don't pretend to know enough about it to have any real well-developed opinion of it. I don't think that everybody who's has a child that's having problems with realities is necessarily a shaman or psychic, but I do think it's a possibility that some of them are, and I think that to dismiss that outright is an opportunity, or is a lost opportunity to really help a child that you love. Sometimes the toughest part of being a parent is to expand yourself to do what's right. Because we oftentimes as parents try to crunch our kids into our box, and I don't think that serves to help anybody really. But I don't know.
It's a very true statement, Dad. It's a very true statement.
It is. Absolutely.
Just kidding.
I never put you in a box.
No.
You were always allowed to be whom you wanted to be. Like I told you, I don't care what you do in your life, just love what you do. If you want to scrub urinals and you love doing that, then scrub urinals. I'm proud of you.
Wouldn't you be sad? They're like, yeah, my son's he cleans toilets.
No,
He's doing great.
If you love doing it, honestly, I wouldn't care. I mean, it would certainly be a concern. Like, God, is he going to be okay? What if something happens? You know, can he cover it? So certainly the income would be something I'd be concerned about. But I think if you love what you're doing, then hell yeah, just go do it. Have fun. Enjoy your life. But
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So let's continue on. We are cruising. It's almost 1 hour already. Do you believe that?
What? Oh, wow. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised anymore. I really shouldn't.
You shouldn't, but it still surprises me, and I've been doing this for years. Years now, I tell you. Let me just see what's next for our articles here. Yeah, I want to do this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, on an upcoming podcast, I did an interview with Lon Strickler, which was really fun. He's a really great guy. And Lon Strickler's kind of one of those pillars in the paranormal community. Like, everybody knows Lon Strickler. If you don't, you should get to know him, because the guy's got he's got an amazing pedigree in research and in documenting lots of incredible phenomena. And I was like, Lon, you mind if I share some of your stories from Phantoms and Monsters on the show? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I found a couple today that I was excited to bring to the table, because one of which is, I love this discussion. I love the discussion of little people. I really do. I'm really fascinated by that. Like gnomes, elves, fairies, goblins, whatever. I think that there are things out there in, a whole catalogs of things are out there. I mean, people are doing pretty well if they accept, hey, there might be ghosts. Hey, there might be UFOs. There might be Bigfoot. There might be Dogman. And if you can accept at least some of that, then that's really cool. But I really think there's a lot more. There's a lot more. And our legends, our histories are full of stories of these things. And maybe some of them are just children's tales, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're built on some kind of truth. And so here's a story from Phantoms and Monsters. And this is The Gnome in the Kitchen. Again, phantomsandmonsters.com. So if you haven't checked out this site, please do. You can catch up with Lon there, what he's doing, what things they're researching. And what a phenomenal guy. Lon is just really cool. But let's do this Gnome in the Kitchen. It says, a man recalls a childhood experience, an encounter with a gnome-like being while at his great-uncle's house during the summer. Apparently, the witness still hears this being occasionally. And it says, I recently came across the following account. When I was still in elementary school, my family and I used to spend all summer at my great-uncle's house. We slept in the same room except for my sister, who'd sleep on a bed in the living room, and my great-uncle, who'd sleep in his own room. That one was a pretty normal day. We went to the beach, we ate some pizza, and then at around 10 p.m., we all went to sleep. At around 4 a.m., I suddenly woke up because someone was throwing things around the kitchen. Plastic cups, containers, food, etc. The door was open, so I was able to see the light coming in from the kitchen. So when I had enough of all that noise, I got up from the bed. At first, something seemed a little off. I thought I was having some sort of strange dream, but I realized that it was not a dream. My father wasn't in his bed, but I didn't care much since maybe he was just in the bathroom. My great-uncle was fairly old, and he had trouble sleeping at night, so I thought he just went into the kitchen to get some water. Uncle, are you all right? All this noise just woke me up, I said while making my way to the kitchen, and to my surprise, the room was empty, but the light was on, and the fridge was open, with a can of Coke lying in front of it. What? I thought. I looked up on the shelf that was to my right, and I saw what was making all that noise. Some sort of short creature around 30 centimeters tall, a gnome you'd say, was looking at me, terrified. He was terrified because I saw him. I thought to myself, he's going to hurt me. Better if I fake that I fainted. And so I did. After a couple of seconds, I opened my eyes and I saw that I wasn't on the kitchen floor anymore. I was in a strange, colorful tunnel. I got scared again and closed my eyes one more time, and after a minute that felt like an eternity, I reopened them and I was laying in my bed. There were still sounds coming from the kitchen, but I was scared and just waited for them to stop. And before sunrise, they finally did. That wasn't the only encounter I had with that dude, but I never saw it again. I'd only hear him because I was and am too scared to see him again. I don't know what he was doing exactly, but I'm sure I wasn't supposed to see him. I know that sounds crazy, but there it is. So there you go. Little gnome. Now, a story like that, if that's factual, and again, only the person that shared the story knows for sure, but if that's factual, that would seem to demonstrate that there's some other dimensional component to it, you know? Like to fake a faint, and then to close your eyes and then open them and you're in this weird, colorful tunnel. Well, the person knows that wasn't there. It's not in their kitchen somewhere. It was just suddenly transported. And then to close your eyes again briefly and open them and find yourself laying in bed. Now, this person never felt like he was being moved, or he or she was being moved. They just opened their eyes and realized they were in a different experience, closed their eyes again, opened them, and they were back in the bed. So, I don't know. That's very strange, right?
It is.
Hello, Mr. Anubis. Mr. Anubis. You came to say hi?
Mr. Anubis.
Yeah, he's got this fascination for sitting right here. I don't know what it is, but I just like those stories. I think they're pretty good. Hello, Eliza. Good to see you. Thanks for making it in. Little did we gnome. Rachel. Oof. I'd give you a rim shot, but I can't find the button right now. I got a furry butt in my way. You need to get down, buddy. There you go. Got a rim shot.
There we go.
I'm dealing them out. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm so hoarse all of a sudden.
Dream says, my youngest daughter would tell us stories about the ghosts she saw when she was small, but she eventually just stopped. She tuned them out because they were annoying her. They didn't go away, though.
Oh, well, that's interesting, Dream. And I think there is something to the fact that children are capable of experiencing those things so much more than us adults. And maybe it's a function of their physiology and how it's different from ours at an adult age. Maybe it's something to do with that changes with puberty or something. I don't know. But there's so many stories of people that talk to people that weren't there as children, and then they kind of grow out of it. So there must be something physiologically that's changing in all of us, perhaps as we go from, the childhood phase into young adult phase. Something must get switched or changed. Some people hang on to it throughout that whole period, but those are the anomalies more so than those that lose it. There's so many stories of those people that I used to see and talk to, blah, 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 but then they just didn't, I couldn't see them anymore after a while. And I think it has to do with something physiologically that's changing for those people. I don't know. Very cool story, though. Thanks for sharing those. Hi, Paradox. How you doing? Good to see you. Nicole says, if you have Irish blood, you'll have an affinity for the wee folk, but always show respect, as they can get massively destructive if you cross them. Yeah, I've heard that as well. Very true.
It actually kind of makes sense. Like the gnomes in like folklore and legend is that they were supposed to be magical.
Uh-huh.
So maybe these were sighted more often or in a specific area or whatnot, and they can disappear, reappear. I don't know, make you fall asleep, wake up somewhere else, whatever the case may be. Like, maybe that's where that comes from, that they're supposed to be magical,
Right. Well, yeah, they could certainly have abilities we don't understand. And that I guess wouldn't surprise me much, because if they're already multidimensional, then everything after that is like, well, they're multidimensional,
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But again, it's whether you have the ability to subscribe to those kind of things or not. And some people do, some people don't. Some people just don't know. And I do believe that there is still magic in this world. I really do. I don't know what that means, though. I don't expect Hogwarts is going to pop out anywhere or anything like that, but I think that there are, there are, maybe there's even latent abilities in us that we've just unprogrammed over the generations of our modern life, that we've lost sight of as well. And maybe that gets back to the whole schizophrenia, shamanism possibility that it still bubbles up, that old magic still bubbles up,
because it's always about hearing the spirits too, in like old traditional kind of nature or earth magic or whatever. It's always about hearing the spirits, listening to the spirits.
Sure.
Maybe that's could be a connection to that too.
Yeah, and I believe that if that is the case, we probably, and there are many esoteric traditions that speak of reconnecting with that part of yourself and rebalancing yourself with the world around you and the energies around you. So I mean, it's probably something we could reawaken, but who knows? I mean, it's anybody's guess. I don't try to speculate too much. Well, I speculate all the time on the show, but I can't pretend to know this stuff. I mean, it's just ideas. It's all ideas. But I have always said, I really do like living in a world that still has mystery. I don't fancy living in a world that's all labeled and categorized and shelved. The fact that there's still amazing things going on to me is very exciting. So I got another article from there to read though, and this one has to do with more of a dogman kind of thing. And it's from September 30th of 2021. So just happened. This is from Thursday, September 30th, 2021 on again, phantomsandmonsters.com. And it's, did Dogman attack a Delaware County, Pennsylvania man? Let's see what it says. It says a man prepares to live in the undeveloped woodlands around Crum Creek in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. One night, he's attacked by an unknown being. After hearing loud barking outside his tent, the following account was recently received. In 2019, I was having a very hard time being around people. I eventually packed my belongings and went to live my life at age 30 by myself in the woods. I was scouting an area that's near Media, Delaware County, which is in the suburbs of Philadelphia, looking for the perfect spot to spend my summer. After my long journey testing different areas out, having bad experiences such as my tent flooding after heavy rains, I found a huge hill that probably went up for several hundred feet. This certain hill was on a giant rock outcropping with many beautiful stones embedded in the host rock. I honestly thought I found the perfect camp, secluded from everyone and everything, surrounded by a large creek. The area was well planted with huge trees of many sorts. So due to all these factors being perfect for what I was looking for, I set my tent up right on top of the hill. The tent that I owned was a one-person tent, big enough for me to sleep in, which is all I really needed. I'm pretty much set. All I had to do was create a barrier with local tree branches so I could keep out anyone and hide my tent. Upon stringing up a huge wall of branches in the area and putting trap lines around my campsite, I began living my life. Many days passed that summer before the incident that changed my life forever happened. So before I delve into this experience, I want to add that it would be nearly impossible for any dog or anyone to get up this hill. Someone would have to be extremely dedicated in finding this place to get to it. During my adventure living alone in the wilderness, my brother would occasionally meet me a bit away to drop off supplies such as beer, food, water, etc. On a beautiful summer night, after it just rained very heavily, I was laying up on the hill right outside my tent. I was immersed in extremely dense fog. The whole area looked as if it was covered in a huge cloud. I was tired from a long walk earlier, so eventually when it hit around 10 p.m., I retired to my tent. I crawled in and laid down with all my equipment around me. It was extremely cramped in there. I zipped up the door flap and began relaxing. I started reading a good book I had when I noticed it was getting really late, so I got my flashlight out and put on my headlamp and just chilled. Periodically, I would text my sister to let her know that I was okay and just converse about certain things. Sorry about that. I'm all froggy. I don't know why. Maybe it's from that laughing.
It could be.
I don't laugh like that often, so when it does, I guess it tears me up. It hit me around 1 a.m. when I just started having a strange feeling. A feeling something is wrong. I tried to shrug it off, but I couldn't. It wouldn't go away. I laid there with my headlamp on, fully illuminated. My tent had a tiny opening in the top with mesh, so you could see out of it. Other than that, you can't really see anything on the outside. As I was reading, I suddenly heard something run very loudly towards my tent, right on my left side. It stopped right next to me and began loudly barking, almost as if a dog is right in your face about to attack. I suddenly shuddered with fear, saying to myself, that can't be a dog. There's no possible way you can get up to my tent with my barricade and the trip lines, and at least not without making an extreme struggle and lots of noise. So in complete fear, after hearing this beast growl and bark like a maniac, I fumbled to get to my phone. In panic, I started texting my sister saying, there's something outside of my tent, and it's pretty pissed off. She texted me back saying maybe it's a dog. I'm like, no dog could not get up this hill. It's impossible. The thing stopped harassing me and eventually disappeared after about 10 minutes. I was very frightened after I heard it, so I dialed 911 in my phone and held on to it, just in case the thing came back. After an hour passes and nothing happened, I began to relax a little. I kicked off my shoes, cracked open a beer, and resumed reading. Let me just say I've been in the woods for 6 months straight before and never had anything like this happen. It was so chilling that I got sick thinking about it. As I'm laying there, the time starting to pass with no sign of the creature, I was too horrified to even look out the tent at this point. Plus, the ground was covered in fog. 3 a.m. rolled around, and I firmly held onto my phone in my right hand, just in case. With the sudden moment passing, I was completely paralyzed. I laid there in a state of fear so intense that I thought I was going to die. Then something grabbed me. Whatever grabbed me began picking me up and smashing me into the ground. This thing was so strong that I felt like a rag doll. It just kept squeezing me and shaking me as if I was nothing. I looked at my phone in my hand, desperately trying to move my thumb to hit the dial button, but it was impossible. This thing was breathing so hard and making noises so sinister that the impression I got was that this thing crawled right out of hell and wants to take me out of my tent. The cries from it were almost like a loud pulsing sound. I guess similar to a giant heart beating out of control. It beat the living hell out of me. I pictured myself being carried away by this horrible thing into a cave to be experimented on or on something really evil. After fighting for probably 7 minutes while being completely paralyzed, it suddenly stopped. The state of fear I was in was so intense at that moment, I was free and my thumb immediately hit 911. I got a girl dispatcher on the line, and I thought to myself, what do I say? I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I was attacked by something. No one is going to take this seriously. I hung the phone up and started texting my sister, saying, listen, here's my location. I was just attacked by something. I got no answer. I kept texting. No answer. I cowered in my tent for the next few hours until the sun came up. I was so worn out from the beatdown that I crawled out of my tent in extreme pain. After a complete search of the area for footprints or a sign of something had been there, I came up empty. No lines were tripped, no branches were moved, and my tent wasn't damaged. Doesn't make much sense because I'm damaged. I could barely walk. Eventually, I moved my campsite and got a bigger tent. I still don't know what it was that attacked me. I don't know what that thing was menacingly barking outside of my tent. I'm literally scared to this day. I now know that there are things so powerful out there that they can literally paralyze you by just coming close. Apparently, they can beat the hell out of you through your tent without leaving any sign of having been there. This all really happened, and I wished I could tell the story better though through typing, but that's all I got. Was it a dog man? I don't know. But it could have killed me very easily if it wanted to. It could have made me a missing person in a heartbeat. I don't know why I survived or how. Oof.
Ow.
Yeah, right?
What an experience. Being dragged by it, too. It wasn't just a sighting. It wasn't just you heard it. It was a full-on experience of it.
Yep. That is crazy. That's a Dogman event that needs to be investigated by McGruff, the crime dog. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
You know, I got to say, that's something that half of me understands, and half of me is just irritated by it. Like, that guy was instinctivally wanting to call 911 because that's what we go, like, for emergencies and for help.
Right.
But because there's this stigma with it, like, if the story is legit, I'm assuming it's legit, then, like, that's gotta just feel horrible, knowing that, like, I need help now. Like, you feel like you're gonna die and whatnot, but you're like, they won't take it seriously.
Right.
They won't care as much. They'll think it's a wolf or a
wolf,
a bear.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, but the interesting thing is that he'd set up all these trip lines. None of them were tripped. None of them. And I don't know. You think about any kind of terrestrial animal. I mean, they're going to trip something up. But what is this? Is this not terrestrial? I mean, what I'm trying to say is this something other than a physical being? And again, we move into the multi-dimensional aspects. Is that a possibility? Well, again, that video that was taken by that guy down in, I don't know where he was. Was he in Indiana, or the guy out his back door filming that ghostly dog man running by?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember where that was.
I don't either, but that was not physical. It was translucent. You could see through it. And so whatever it was visible enough to realize that's a dog man. I mean, it's huge. The stride was, everything about it was dog man, except for the fact that it wasn't solid. And that's the weird part. It's like, what is it exactly? Is it a physical manifestation, or can it choose to be a physical manifestation? Is it a multidimensional manifestation that can choose to either be fully realized or partially, or what? And that's where it just gets really bizarre to try to follow it and to try to make sense of it. I mean, it seems weird to me as an adult person to be talking about something being multidimensional, because it just sounds like, it doesn't seem like a place we would get to. You know, when you're thinking with your logical mind, like, multidimensional, what does that even mean? But it just seems to mean these things that can traverse our reality or their own, or have a foot in each world, or whatever. I don't know. It's very strange. And of course, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the whole misty like look is even. I just realized this now. It's even consistent with Linda Godfrey's hunt for Dogman 2 when they were doing baiting it, and the only pictures they got, she was saying, was of a misty form floating above the carcass of whatever they were baiting with. There was no like physical. It was like a mist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the from that interview, there's where they set out the trail cam. They put a deer there, a deer carcass, and they tied it down. And yet it was there one moment, and then boom, it was gone. Like, from one frame to another, it was there to gone, with only this mist being the telltale thing. But the ropes were cut that were holding this deer in place. The ropes were cut. So what is it you're dealing with? I don't know. That's very strange. What is paradox? Interdimensionals can jump from 3D to 3.5D to 4D. That's interesting. You know, and the other thing is what does that mean? So that's a great statement, and that may be true, but what does something in 3.5D look like? What does 4D look like? Or does it look like anything? Can we perceive 4D manifestations? Because we're existing in a three-dimensional manifestation of reality. So what does 4D look like? Now, a lot of people say the fourth dimension is time, but I don't think in terms, I don't think that that's necessarily right. I think that these are all vibrational separations. So like 1D is just like a line. 2D would be a line that has length and height. 3D gives it depth. What does 4D do? What happens in 4D?
That's a question our brains might not be ready for. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or an answer, rather.
I've never heard of that. Was it in Trail Cam Terrors? Oh, you mean the video that was taken by that person? I don't know. I don't know if we ever covered it in Trail Cam Terrors or not. We may have, but I know it's out there. If you look for it. I don't know. I'll try to figure out if we can. Do you think you might be able to find a link to that video, Sheldon, to put in the chat on YouTube? And it doesn't have to be just the video. It can be. I know Dark Waters covered it, and I think Dark Waters was the one that brought it out, and and it was very interesting, very, very interesting.
Try to. Wait, which video are you talking about? Like, which one specifically?
The ghostly dog man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try to find it.
Yes, please. Thank you. What was that? I think 4D is in thought/ether. Yeah. And that's really interesting. And again, I'm not poo-pooing anything. I just don't understand. And that's what I really want to do. My whole journey in the paranormal is to understand. And because I've experienced so many things in my own life, and this is my journey to try to figure out, what have I experienced and what are other people experiencing? What are we missing? What is around us that we're missing, So it's just amazing. There's so much more going on here. Is 4D when Schrödinger cats listen to? It might be. I don't know. Yeah, the Schrödinger's cat, that it's both alive and dead until you can prove it. It's in a different, it's in a flux state. And again, the interesting thing is because these double slit experiment, I keep going to this because it's, oh, there you go. Can you put that in the chat?
Yes.
YouTube? Thank you. And we're not going to watch it here because I don't want to step on anybody's evidence or their copyrights or whatever, but it is a pretty interesting video. Thank you.
It's a great video.
And it's not a long video. It's just this guy captures something out his back door, and he's been dealing with this for a period of time. And he was actually live streaming on Facebook, I think, when he recorded this video. So it's happening in real time as it was streamed to Facebook. That's pretty intense. Whatever it is,
Oh, yeah.
I don't even pretend to know. But man, excuse me. But
Consistencies,
absolutely. So that's a couple of great articles from Phantoms and Monsters. It raises so much discussion because, obviously, none of us here are scientists. Well, maybe some of you out there are. I'm not, and so I try to understand these things as best I can, but it's very strange. It's the 5D that doesn't exist, Wolverine says. Okay. Very interesting. Yet. Well, I mean, I think was it mathematicians have, or physicists have proven that there are up to 11 dimensions that are mathematically demonstratable, but I still don't know what that means. I want to take a look and see who's in the chat because Asset Ramses is in there. Cosmic Fluor is in there. Dreams in there. Ghost Magnet. Nickel S is in there. Paradox Fossil. Somebody came in. Drake C did. Hi, Drake. Rachel gets it right. Ruger Ridge. Sheldon, you're in there. Tiniest Squish is in there. Trace. Lanell. Good to see you, Trace. Trace. I'm sorry if I'm really brutalizing that. And then Wolverine's in there. in the chats. So again, I don't mean to belabor a point that I can't substantiate for so long on the shows, but this is the kind of stuff that just pops up. It's like, so this guy's in the tent. What did he experience? How did he get through all his trip lines, all the barriers he had set up to just sit there on the outside of his tent and repeatedly slam him into the ground? And how did that happen with no discernible damage to the tent? None of the barricades were torn down. None of the trip lines were hit. But he was very, very, very sincerely brutalized by whatever this was. I don't know.
Sounds like it's incredibly intelligent
Yeah,
at the
it
very
does.
least.
Justin, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. But language alert on that video too, Tracy says. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you might want to have the volume down if you're sensitive to languages. I think Stephen Hawking suggested there were as many as 11 dimensions. Yeah, I know. I've heard it. Maybe it was Stephen Hawking that was where I heard it. But Eliza's here. Me. Good to see you, Eliza. Thank you. I've heard about up to 12 to 13 dimensions, but as Brent said, I don't know exactly what that means either. Yeah, it's just, I got up to 3. I've got 3 figured out, but anything after that, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know how to perceive, like, if something is able to experience 11 dimensions. Like, what is that even? It's insane. I've been trying to process it in my mind this entire time, and I don't think I can.
It just feels like, to me on the outside looking into this, trying to understand what this means, it's like, it feels like you're on an elevator and each floor is a dimension. That's what my mind breaks it down into in a way that makes sense. But so far I'm only on 3 of those floors and I can't get up to 11 or 12. I don't know what they would look like or what that experience would be. So again, I don't know, very limited understanding of such things. So someday maybe we'll have to have somebody come on the show that can explain that to us a little better.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like those articles. Again, special thanks to Lon Strickler of phantomsandmonsters.com. He also has a podcast as well. He's an author. He's a great guy. He's got Arcane Radio is his podcast. It's very good. I think that's a channel on YouTube as well. So check it out. But that sounds like a Dogman attack to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to this article we've been working through as well. I'm kind of hesitant, though, because no matter what I do, I got to read, and my voice has been kind of falling apart. But, well, we got, 826? Yeah, I can make it through some of these. From factinate.com, this is the article we've been working through. It's real-life supernatural encounters on Factinate. And we were on number 15. And this one is called Special Guest. As a kid, I remember lying in bed at night waiting to sleep. I must have been about 6 or 7 years old at the time. My brother was in the other single bed fast asleep, and a babysitter was looking after us. The babysitter was our older cousin. And as I was lying there, I distinctly remember feeling someone or something tickling my feet. I know it wasn't my brother, but the bedroom door was fully locked and it never opened, so it couldn't have been my older cousin messing around either. A decade or so later, I was talking to my mom, and we were just generally chatting about weird things that had happened to us over the years, and she mentioned that she once heard me as a 5-year-old chatting away in my bedroom and giggling. As my brother was out with my dad at the time, so she went in to see what I was doing, and what she saw made her freeze in her tracks. She said, I pointed to the chair in the corner and I said I was talking to the old lady with the glasses. But there was nobody sitting in the chair at all. According to her, she said the worst part was that there really was an old lady in the family that used to live in this house. She passed away in that very bedroom, and that was her chair that the family had left behind from when we recently moved in. I don't remember my alleged chatting with the old lady, but I 100% remember the tickling of feet. The chair was in the corner of the room at the base of my bed. Part of me wants it to just be my cousin messing around with me, but I just know he wasn't in the room. Yeah, that'll do it. Tickling feet. Aw,
thank you so
Trace.
much, Trees.
Love you and yours. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, certainly there's another example of a kid having the ability to talk at length with a spirit, but had somehow outgrown it. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Just imagine if we could hang on to that, you know, if we could continue that throughout our lives, the discussions you could have, and how much would that help your life to not have to stumble through everything blindly? Maybe that's why we grow out of it. Yeah. At least what?
Only science could give us. If only science could give us those answers, but it's just not an area that's seemingly taken seriously. It's too bad.
Yeah, it is. Excuse me, hold on. I think it's all loosening up. There we go. Number 16, expiration date. A few months after my husband had passed, I was watching TV in my living room. It was in the middle of the day, and I kept hearing this sound, like someone was jiggling their change around. It was loud, as if it were in the room with me. I paused my TV, yet the sound persisted. So I started to look around my home, and when I got to the kitchen, I saw my husband standing there. He was looking around as if taking stock of my apartment. Oh, and he was jiggling change in one hand, while flipping a quarter between his fingers with the other. Something he did a lot when he was alive. He turned his head and saw me frozen, staring at him. The expression on his face was one I will never forget. His eyes got huge, and he kind of tilted his head forward with the expression like, "You can see me?" I don't know how long we stared at each other for, but I turned away when I started to hear my cat ripping up the carpet again in the other room. When I turned back to my ex, he was gone. It's worth noting that he had only been deceased for a couple of months. Some Romanian women I worked with told me about the dead stick around for 3 months before crossing over. I don't know about all of that, but I know without a shadow of doubt what I saw that day. That was by Whitney Rosenberg. Huh. That's awesome. What a great experience. Very powerful, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe it's a state of mind thing.
Maybe.
It's like we just naturally, when we're not doing anything, we're just doing mundane tasks. Maybe we slip into these states of mind.
Well, there's everybody that I've ever talked to in regards to increasing your psychic ability, or how to become more aware of those subtle energies, speaks of meditating.
Yeah.
And so I think we get into naturally meditative states. Like there are states we can get into where we would maybe be a lot more open to that. Maybe it's that altered awareness. She was kind of involved in doing some mundane things, and this other thing peeked through. And maybe she was just in the right frame of mind at the right moment, and blah, blah, blah. And there you have it. So it's possible. It's possible. But
might be the secret.
It might just be. They might be right. I just suck at meditating. That's my problem. It's like I know I should do it. I just not really good about doing it.
Same. it's okay.
Wonder if I chew gum. Excuse me. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. I don't mean to be rude and chew gum. I actually got a comment from somebody. It's like, oh man, all that gum smacking. But I don't know what to do. I'm kind of so froggy. So I'll try it.
Yeah, let's go.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Hold on while I loosen this up.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help. Maybe. Let's get back to the list. No, I'm going to be all spitty. Like,
yep. Just waiting to hear it.
thank you, my boy. All right.
Anytime.
Number 17, better a baker than a butcher. It is helping. I think. When I was very young, less than 4, I was afraid of going to the bathroom alone because I thought there was an old man in it with a baker's hat. I still remember his face. One night I was forced by my mom to go alone and be brave, and I swear, there he was, just standing there. I froze in fear, and then I remember running back. I ran into my mom, who was just standing there with a weird look on her face. All she said was, "See, I told you it's nothing to be afraid of." in a shaky voice as she pulled me away from there. I think she saw him, but couldn't process it herself. That was by 2020 made me join Reddit. I guess that's one way to burn some time, yeah?
Yeah, no kidding.
Number 18, second chance. One night I got a phone call from my next door neighbor late in the evening asking if I could help him move a mattress into one of his upstairs bedrooms. That old mattress trick. I saw Silence of the Lambs. Don't know. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
His mom is ill and he has a very, very big, heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I didn't see the priest thing come up, but okay. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help them move an armoire upstairs too. Well, I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of the travel trailer and start bringing it up the front steps of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 stairs up, when my neighbor and his friend lose a handle on the armoire and it comes crashing down on me, and I fall backwards towards the pavement. At that moment, I wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. This is where it really gets freaky. It's my neighbor asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, and this is supposed to be the first time I met him. And I say I can help with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, "How'd you know about the armoire?" I then proceeded to tell them about what had just happened. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He was blown away, and he had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall. I'd never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after it happened. I told him I never actually passed, and that before it happened, I woke up in my dining room table. Wow. So he actually had a premonition of his death if he was to help with the armoire.
Oh.
Creepy. That's a good, beautiful thing, though.
Yeah.
I should chew gum more often, man. I'm totally fine now.
Yeah, you sound a lot better.
Wow. Huh.
Rachel says, there was that story about the cafe full of people who may have been ghosts that you read a few months ago, Brent. So they might around in certain places. I think tourists wandered into the building.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't doubt. Here's the thing, folks. I think if suddenly, at the snap of a finger, we became aware of all of the spiritual energies around us, I think we would be scraping our underwear collectively, because I think we're swimming in an ocean of spirit. I think there are spirits and presences and intelligences everywhere around us. And the reason why I think that is because basically everything gets down to energy. And there's a lot of religious hints towards that as well. From the Dead Sea Scrolls, split a piece of wood, I am there. Overturn a stone, I am there. And it talks about this consciousness that pervades all things, and maybe we recognize as what could be what we understand as God. But all things are energetic, and all things are interconnected to this divine intelligence, maybe. This is my belief. So if we suddenly became aware of all these intelligences, presences, etc., beings, I think we would be like we're in a crowded subway most of the time. Maybe not exclusively, but I think especially in urban areas, I think the collection of life is so intense and compact. But I also think it would be a different kind of awareness in the wild places, like the forests. Would we see the spirit of the trees, of the stones, of the earth, of the water? All of these things are supposed to have a spiritual intelligence. The elements, elementals, other things like sylphs and dryads and stuff, are they Are they just a old way of saying nature spirits, So I think if we suddenly became acutely aware of all of these presences, we would be in a stadium of intelligences and spiritual beings. That's my belief. If I'm right or wrong,
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seems to me.
I like that. It's probably a good thing we can only see in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, it's probably. Tracy says, I agree 100%, Brent. Well, thank you. I'm glad. And again, my goal for the show is never to try to convince people what to believe or what not to believe. This is just the answers I've come to in my journey. These are the things that resonate with me. And so I share them. And if they don't resonate with you, please understand it's not me trying to convince you of anything or to alter your beliefs in any way. I think just as long as you have some belief, I don't care what it is, but if it's a good belief and it causes you to be a good person, then outstanding. So anyway, Ghost Magnet, I totally agree. And in my experience of seeing energy, I also see so many entities and feel there's so much more. So much we don't see or feel, but are there. Yeah, I think you're right, Ghost Magnet. It might have been Ghost Magnet that shared that article. Actually.
Oh, that could have been too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, but I think that might be where it came from. So thank you again, if that was you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love the discussions. There is so much more. You're right, Cosmic Floor. I agree completely. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Let's get to the next one because now I can talk decent. Little gum was all I needed, folks. I'm sorry if it's rude to smack on my gum, but it's either that or listen to Frog Me, so.
I like Froggy.
You're such a dick. All right, keeping it quiet. My grandmother and my brother would sit under the Christmas tree playing with the train decoration, running around it. Well, she passed a few weeks before Christmas when I was very young. After her funeral, every night at different times after midnight, when we had all gone upstairs to bed, the train would turn itself on, and my mom would go down and turn it off. After a week, my mom exasperatedly yelled down the stairs, "Enough!" Then they said Grandma's name. "We miss you, but we need to sleep." The train stopped and never turned itself back on again. After that Christmas, my mom refused to put a train under the tree, and we gave it to our uncle, who was a train enthusiast, and he never had it turn on by itself after all these years. And that was by It'll Make You Stronger.
We miss you, but we're trying to sleep.
Well, we talk about that. Claim your space. Let them know what you're okay with. I think they just, they do these things because they want to be acknowledged. So acknowledge them, but tell them, if it's something that's bothering you, tell them to knock it off.
Yeah.
Number 20, Night Court. My buddy and I were playing tennis one night at some courts by my house. The lights usually went off at about 11 o'clock, but for whatever reason that night, they were off at a weird time, like 10:43 or something like that. Whatever. That was weird. We collected our stuff and started walking to my car about 500 feet from the courts. Just then, my buddy's mom pulls up right as we're getting to my car. She looks super upset and yells at us. "Where have you been? I've been calling your cell, and when it answers, there was just some guy laughing. It didn't sound like you." That's when my buddy checked his pockets and everything and realized he didn't have his phone with him. He told his mom to call his cell phone again so he could see it light up in the middle of the court we were playing on, and it was by the net, but still definitely in between the single lines. Not at all where we kept the rest of our stuff. He goes and gets it and only has one missed call from his mom, the one she just made, not the one she was making earlier. He asked her if she called the right number, and her call log showed 3 calls to his phone all that night. We can't explain why his cell was on the court, or what happened with the calls, or what happened with the lights. It was surreal. Yeah, that's a lot of weird in one night, yeah?
Yeah.
That was by Grant Schmidt. Number 21, 2 roads diverged in a wood. This happened last night while I was on the phone with my girlfriend. I was telling her about my day and ended my sentence with, "It shouldn't be like that." And then I heard static and my voice echoing an alternate version of that sentence. It shouldn't be that way. The phone call went back to normal and my girlfriend couldn't remember which one she heard first. Did I glitch out? to another parallel universe where I chose to end my sentence with the other words? Question mark. That was by Lou 3189.
That reminds me of that one story about the guy. The guy, what was it? You'll remember. It's the one he was at work and like someone was calling his house, but it was apparently him. But he was at work.
Yeah, yep. He had called in
Yeah.
sick. He showed up at work and they said, "What are you doing here? You called in sick." And he's like, "No, I'm fine." And he went back and forth with his boss. The boss was like, "Yeah, I marked you down as not being here tonight because you called in." And so he called his own house and talked to a different version of himself or whatever. It's like, "Who are you? Where's Beth or whatever the wife's name was? She's sleeping. Why are you bothering me? I'm staying home sick tonight. Quit screwing around." And the guy hung up and the guy left to go. And then as he was running out the door to his car to go check on his wife in this house, the other version of himself called back and said, "Why you guys keep screwing around and calling me? I told you I'm sick tonight. I need to get some sleep." And then hung up. And he gets home.
Yeah.
He gets home and everything's normal. And so it's like the universes cross paths there. Like there was some interruption between dimensions or realms. Kind of like dimensions are the talk of the night, aren't they? But it
Kind of is, yeah.
It seems to be like a lot of this stuff. I think a lot of this paranormal stuff, and it could even mean the Bigfoot stuff too, the Dogman, all of that stuff, because there's so many claims of them doing really strange things that shouldn't be possible, phasing in and out, and perhaps not even being fully here, turning into orbs, et cetera, but maybe all of this stuff that we understand as paranormal is just us coming in contact with other dimensions. And maybe it's way more normal than we think. Maybe it always happens. We just don't know. Think of the Mandela effects. It's like whole portions of our society seem to have jumped into another version of the world where it's not mirror on the wall, it's magic mirror on the wall. It's not the lion lays down or the
Oh, it's not mirror on the wall.
Well, it is from where I'm from, but then if you go back and watch the Disney movies now, it's magic mirror on the wall.
No, they're lying. They changed it. No.
So the other big one is from the Bible, when the lion lays down with the lamb. Well, it doesn't say that anymore. It says the wolf, when the wolf lays down with the lamb.
That's so weird.
Right. I remember quilts at my church showing lions and lambs laying down together. And that was this peaceful, beautiful moment. And now apparently it's something different. So, again, is that a memory glitch? And if so, how do large portions of the population have the same memory glitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, weirdness, Howie Mandela effect. Yeah, could be. But anyway, let's get to the next one, Dreamscape. Let's see what it says.
Yeah.
This is still creepy and unexplained. For a bit of context, my girlfriend had long hair when we dated. Then we drifted away for a while before we got back together in a relationship. At that point, her hair was cut short. During the relationship, I had a dream about her. However, the dream version of her was her past self, as she still had her long hair. In the dream, she avoided me and acted really strange, as if we weren't together. Just like it had been when we drifted apart. I was weirded out, but not much since it was just a dream, right? Wrong. I told her about the dream, and it turns out that she had dreamt the exact same thing as me, except for one crucial detail. Hers was 2 years before mine. That was exactly during the time that she had long hair and we weren't in each other's lives. She told me she was weirded out because in the dream, I acted like we were together. Our descriptions of both the place and the people in the dream matched perfectly. It was a house party with lots of people and some common friends. It also had lots of strange rooms with bizarre stuff like animals and random objects. Our descriptions of the layout of the rooms made it impossible for it to be just a coincidence. Look at that picture. That's some huge hair. Well, you'll have to wait for a second. It'll appear.
It's coming. Yep, there it is. Yeah.
Yep, that's a big flag of hair.
Jeez.
That's pretty cool. That was by Rod RLM. Okay. Number 23, knock, knock, knock. I went with my brother to see an old family property my mom had inherited in a really rural area. We were just looking about. It hadn't been lived in for decades, and there was a bit of wind. It was a rainy day, and both me and my brother were inspecting the house until we started hearing a weird rhythmic knock coming from around the building. It was just a knock at regular intervals, much like a clock sounds, but a bit louder. My brother and I had stepped out to look around, but the noise started sounding like it was getting further away from us. Finally, the noise just disappeared. We left shortly afterwards. A couple of days went by, and I stopped by my mom's place to ask her something. I asked her if she has any pictures of the original owner of the house, which was her grandfather, so my great-grandfather, and she pulled out a picture. When I saw it, I couldn't believe my eyes. The man had a wooden leg as a result of an injury. I told my mom all about it, and it was like she was remembering him. She says that's exactly how it sounded when he walked on the porch. Wow. That's not an actual picture, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, but it's just a picture of a wooden porch. But that's really creepy. Very cool. I guess he's just sticking around. He loved his house.
Yeah. Gotta be.
Well, I hope it's
Eliza
cool.
says she's got a Bible that's 130 years old, and maybe she can look at it.
Yeah, please do. Please look that up. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Number 24. See that guy? In the place where my parents used to live, there was this old couch. My mom would sometimes walk by in the middle of the night and see a silhouette sitting there. She describes it as a man sitting down with a hat on, just sitting there. She saw it several times but thought nothing of it. She never told my dad, who one day says to her, "It's weird, but sometimes in the middle of the night, I think I see a man sitting down on the couch doing nothing." It turned out they both saw the man sitting on this couch, and they realized this is when they told each other after they'd both seen him. Wow. Hold on, I got a cough. There we go. So apparently there's an attachment to that couch. I don't know what would that be? You got to wonder what. I hope that's residual, because if that's an intelligent spirit that's stuck to a couch, I think that might just really suck. Huh. Number 25, the polite ghost. A very nice old man and his wife used to live a few streets over from us. Well, she got very sick, and his son flew in to help watch and care for her. A few weeks later, she moved to hospice and later died. That same night, her husband and son drove home, and they were talking about what to do for the funeral, and the husband asked, "Do you think she'd want," and then the name of some person, "to attend?" At that moment, they both said they heard the deceased woman's voice in the back seat say, "No, thank you." That's awesome.
At least it was polite.
Yeah, exactly. It was polite. Nope,
Yeah.
Nope, don't bother. Rachel says, maybe like several blood types, all people have several dimension types. There's a parallel shift, only some of us are affected based on the dimensional type. Yeah, it could be.
Asking those deep questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it gets really fun, because maybe there is a physiological component to it based upon our lineages and family trees and stuff, that we're affected by different things differently. Certainly could be something to do with the region our ancestors are from, that we resonate with different energies differently. I don't know. I think it's all really cool though.
Oh, I've thought of this too at one point. Buzzacino says, what if we are coming up to a fixed point in time, and that we exist in a split timeline, and the timelines are pulled together the closer they get to that fixed point?
Ooh. Well,
kind of like dimensional shifts and emerging of those dimensional.
That's kind of brilliant. That's a brilliant idea, really. Great thought, Buzzacino. Yeah, I mean, it would lend some understanding of some of the craziness that's going on, for sure. Maybe we're all from these different timelines, and that's kind of why things are so polarized right now, is that people just aren't energetically used to dealing with each other because for whatever reason we're being pulled maybe to this fixed point. Maybe that's a point in time that has to happen. Maybe that's a transitional point, and then we'll move past it in a better state. I hope so, because I've got to tell you, I think everybody's really on needles and pins right now, and I don't want to get into specifics because that's not the scope of the show. But could that be what part of this is that we're at I don't know how to say it, a point in our journey as a global society where we're passing an importance. Maybe it's a resonance, maybe it's a vibration, maybe it's a frequency that we're becoming in order to pass through. And maybe that's what all of this dissonance is about, is us dealing with releasing, letting go, incorporating new things. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Science says that the universe is expanding. It's like I don't know, but if it's like a raindrop that's laying next to a bunch of other raindrops, as one gets bigger, it as it touches the other one, it just pulls it in, absorbs it, and they both become one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good thought. That could very well be. It's hard to know. I mean, again, with any of this stuff, it's all valid. It's all great ideas, and each is as potentially valid as the next. It's just, we don't know. But I just, again, it's the journey. I wish I had these answers. I really do, because I'd love to know. I'd love to be able to sit here and go, guys, this is what's actually going on, and this is where we're going, and this is why we're here, and this is where we've been, and this is the reasons. There's an esoteric truth that we need. I wish I could do that. I can't. And it's just part of the whole journey.
Yeah.
Very true. Let's see what we're doing for time here. We're getting there. I guess we can do one more. One more of these.
Oh my God, it's already almost time?
It is. It goes quick, doesn't it? Number 26. A bad trip. Uh-oh. Back in early July, my family was going on a road trip to Montana to visit our grandparents. Prior to the trip, I had a horrible, horrible feeling about going. I kept having flashes of car accidents in my head, and I was sure that we were going to get into one if we left. It was so strange because I had a pretty severe anxiety disorder, but this didn't feel like my anxiety at all. I actually never have anxiety about road trips. I love them. Anyway, we left Saturday of that week, and I told my parents I had a bad feeling about driving up there, but they dismissed it as me just being anxious. I had honestly never felt so certain about something in my life. Getting into that car felt like signing my death sentence. So we get about 6 hours in, and at this point I start to think I was just being ridiculous, and a wave of calmness just flashes over me. And this is where stuff gets strange. My dad passes an underpass, and everything just shifts. I feel like I saw everything in slow motion for a whole 4 or 5 minutes. My parents were joking beforehand, and their faces moved so slowly, and when the light in the car started to shift. This was the scary part because I thought I must have been going insane. For a few seconds, there was a huge illumination of light into our car, and I looked at my family and could not tell who they were or what they meant to me. And then it's like everything just came back. The light shifted back, and I knew who everyone was. Still, it felt like something imperceptible had completely changed. I closed my eyes and I tried to make sense of the past few minutes. When I reached back to remember, I saw blood, our car, and another minivan in total shambles on the other side of the highway, right beyond the underpass, and mangled bodies. And that wasn't all. I remembered sensations I should not have known. What splattered brain matter looks like, and the smell of something burning the way I couldn't breathe. None of it had ever happened. Yet I remember that the car in front of us had switched lanes, even though there was a truck in front of us. Realized it at the last second, hit us with a lateral impact. I have no history of psychosis, and I've never been in any sort of car accident. This wasn't PTSD. I've never had anxiety over being in a car in any sort of way prior to this. And maybe I could have just brushed it off, but I still think about it when I'm driving in my own car. It's made me a more cautious driver, and I don't know what happened. It was just a weird sensation. I remember having the distinct feeling in that moment that I had died in some sense. I'm not a spiritually sensitive person by any means. I'm a scientist at heart, but this was truly something I cannot explain.
Wow.
So, again, is that a dimensional shift? That some version of them was, maybe that was going to be the version of them, and then something shifted, and that's the bright light. And that's the feeling of, who is everybody? What's going on here? And then, boom, back to the logic after it's shifted. Did that person just witness a Mandela effect?
Yeah, a real-time one.
Right. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because that's it's coming up all the time in this discussion tonight. Are we always shifting? I mean, I think probably the truth on the matter is that we understand about this whole multiverse theory. Many people do anyway. And just to put it in a nutshell, that right now there is infinite numbers of you experiencing what you're experiencing now, except there'll be variations. Maybe those variations are a different choice you made at some point in the day or years prior or whatever. But that maybe as we do our lives and as we make choices, we shift to different versions of ourselves based on our choices that we make. And it might be something so stupid as getting a drink of water for like a bad voice. Or it might be as profound as calling someone that you feel needed to hear your voice. And maybe each time we do those things, we do shift into a different version of ourselves. Like maybe these infinite versions of us exist because maybe there's this idea, and I think I'm saying it right, non-Euclidean space-time. And that's the idea that all time exists simultaneously. The dinosaurs are walking right now, and we're traveling the stars in another version, and everything in between. But maybe it's our awareness that shifts and changes as we go through these multitude of possibilities. I don't know. It's kind of deep.
And who knows how many parallel universes we're creating too, just by making a choice. You have a choice. What you live is a yes, but the parallel universe is the no version of what happens. And I mean, who knows?
Mm-hmm. We can also incarnate overlapping sequence of events in same points in a timeline. Yeah, I believe that's probably true. I think it is. And maybe some of these stories we've covered tonight are exactly that. They're just these awarenesses that shift between the layers of reality. I don't know. It's all kinds of tough to really put your finger on it, but yeah, just possibilities. That's what the portal is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bucket of possibilities. So, I don't know about you, Sheldon, but I think that's about all the reading I can do tonight, and it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, your voice is about done for tonight.
It is. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's just I just feel hoarse. But I don't laugh like that much, so I really think it was that laughing. I've not laughed that hard in ages. God, that was funny.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That wouldn't happen if you weren't here.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought levity to the show, buddy. But thanks
in a parallel universe, I was never here and you were never laughing.
Well, we would have had to change that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I do like these conversations, guys. Thank you so much for all of the thoughts and for taking part in the conversation. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I love these conversations.
Buzzicino. This is something strange in your neighborhood called Paranormal Portal. They'll tell your story good. All right. Well, that's about all I can say. As you can hear, I'm not going to be able to say much more. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Anything in closing, Sheldon?
Absolutely. For anyone new here or anyone not joined yet, if you want to join our Discord community, plenty of great links in there too, like things that we've referenced here in this show. And lots to look into and discuss on Discord. You can join through the link in the chat.
There it is. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight, folks. I'm going to try to do some deep breathing exercises and exercise this frog in my throat. The power of Skype compels you. All right. But loved y'all. I said loved because I read Ghost Magnets at the same time. Loved the show. I didn't mean that in the past tense. I do love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey tonight, and I'll be back. Sheldon, you back tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah, I will actually.
Okay. So Sheldon and I will be back for the Night Terrors tomorrow night. So just take care until then. Have a great Thursday, and just know we love you, and we'll be anxious to get back in the seat and bring you all on another journey through the Paranormal Portal. Cue the credits.